omens, the omens that started happening as Hiranyaksa and Hiranyakasipu were kept in the womb, where Diti didn't want to deliver them because she was really scared of what kind of demons these will become. She knew they're going to be demons, so she was trying to delay her delivery. And then when Kashyapa just told her, come on, how long are you going to keep? It has to happen. So many omens are happening. And we'll continue from here. I mean, we can take turns into reading, and whenever we have a comment or a question, we can pause and go back to the reading like that. So one thing I do want to mention is our life, even our practical life, daily life, is surrounded by omens. And when we go into a certain place, and then people are screaming, or there is some terrible noise, or it just happened to us. We were in the other part of South India, and we entered somebody's house, and we just could feel all the inauspicious omens. We just knew that, okay, it's clear that we're not supposed to be there. Many times like that it happens. In India, they are very superstitious. They are very superstitious and think like, oh my God, this cat crossed our path, so we have to stop our journey. Oh my God, jackals are howling and we have to stop. I mean, there's extremes as well, but even my astrology teacher often says that, you're walking somewhere and there are some auspicious omens. Somebody says something beautiful, somebody blesses you, somebody says, or some other times we're just walking and we get a phone call which is like something negative. Somebody like warns us, hey, you're trying to do that, why are you doing that? And then we get a hint. So especially when we become brahmanas, when we take up vows and we practice Krishna consciousness seriously, these omens they have meaning, and it's a whole science. And so I just want to say that let's not read these things as some kind of a fantasy novel where all these omens are taking place. These things very much affect us, as it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam. Like, there's a microcosm and there's a macrocosm. So when things are happening in the sky, that's affecting us too. The movements of the planets and the omens around us, it has a direct effect on our psyche. So this is an important point to note. And of course, each of us can have our own natures and experiences based on our life and our situation and our service as well. Within our service itself, we can get omens. Sometimes Krishna doesn't want us to do some particular thing, and then people drop out, people promise and then they don't deliver. Certain things happen, and it's like Krishna telling us, this is not for you, don't do this. When things don't flow, right? So yeah, we must kind of keep an eye on omens. Animals, animals are very expressive in omen science of omens. As we read here, jackals, and then we are reading about asses, and then birds, they're flying, screaming from their nests. Cattle in the cowsheds, as well as in the woods, passed dung and urine simultaneously. Trees fell without a blast of wind. It's like, imagine, you're just sitting in your balcony, chanting your Hare Krishna mantra, and then suddenly a tree just falls in front of your eyes without any strong storm or a wind. It's like, it's obviously an omen, something coming to an end, something terrible going to happen. And look at this part. Terrified cows yielded blood in place of milk. Clouds rained pus. The images of gods in the temples shed tears. Ominous planets such as Mars and Saturn shone brighter than the auspicious ones, like Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus. With retrograde motions, they oppose the benevolent planets. This is not an exaggeration. These things really happen. Like clouds were raining pus and cows were giving blood in the place of milk. And in terms of auspicious and inauspicious planets, even individuals who are born under malefic planets strong in their chart, they tend to have a tendency to be violent and aggressive. Somebody has like Saturn and Mars together, they're never at peace. There's always a sense of unrest. And I've seen that personally in my work experience as well. Seeing the many evil omens, both men and celestials were terrified. They thought the dissolution of the universe was at hand. Only the 4 Kumaras who knew of the fall of Jaya and Vijaya and their births as Diti's sons remained unperturbed. Let's pause there. That's interesting, right? Jaya and Vijaya were cursed by Kumaras, and Kumaras are like, you know what? We know this was meant to happen. And then also the whole conversation that happened prior to this, Vishnu telling them, actually, wait a minute. Don't run around with guilt and shame. It was actually my plan. And the Kumaras are like, what? And the Jaya and Vijaya are like, really? It's your plan, my dear Lord? And then Vishnu is like, yeah, who else can give me a good fight than you both, my favorite guards, my devotees. And then so I guess Jaya and Vijaya, of course, they're in forgetfulness state, but the Kumaras know that the Lord is going to have a good fight. He's going to enjoy this pastime as well. So when we know that Krishna has got our back, when we know that in Krishna consciousness, even a curse is a benediction. Even Narad Muni, when he curses because he wants to release the devotees, relieve the devotees of their character defects, which is a blessing. So in devotional service, even austerities, difficulties, it's a blessing because it relieves us from our character defects. Okay, any comments or any questions? Hare Krishna, Rasastali Mataji.
Hi Krishna, good morning. How are you?
Nice to see you. Hari Bol.
Thank you so much. Hari Bol.
Would any of you like to continue reading this, please?
I can.
Please, thank you.
The tall trees shading the grove where Maitreya and Vidura sat rustled gently in the late afternoon breeze. Shrieking monkeys clamoured in the branches as they playfully chased each other. Their commotion interrupted Maitreya's train of thought. He looked up at the reddish sun sitting low in the sky. It was almost time for his evening prayers. Vidura said, "Please do not stop." "What happened next?" Maitreya replied, "The sun will set soon. Let us take our evening bath and chant our mantras. We can continue after that." The two friends took off their outer clothes and entered the nearby pool. After they gathered wood and stoked the fire, Maitreya picked a dozen or so ripe figs, which he shared with Vidura. As night fell, they huddled around the fire. Vidura asked, "What did the twins do after their birth?" Maitreya said, "These two primeval demons quickly exhibited uncommon bodily features, spending most of their time in developing their physique. Their bodies became like steel. They rapidly grew tall like 2 mountains. Their gold crowns seemed to kiss the sky. They blocked the view in all directions and shook the earth with their every step. Brilliant bracelets adorned their arms and elaborately inscribed golden girdles across their waists." "What were their names?" asked Vidura. "The first son, Kasyapa, impregnated in Diti, he named Hiranyakasipu, and the son who first took birth, he named Hiranyaksha. Hiranyakasipu received a boon from Lord Brahma, which made him proud and unafraid of death. Consequently, he conquered the 3 planetary systems. But let me first tell you about Hiranyaksha. Eager to please his elder brother, he took a club on his shoulder and coursed through the universe in a fighting spirit. Vidura wrapped his woolen shawl tightly around his shoulders and leaned forward, eager to hear Maitreya's account. Hiranyaksha soared through the skies, roaring like a furious lion. Golden anklets adorned his feet, a great garland hung around his neck, and a colossal mace rested on one of his broad shoulders. Seeing the gods fleeing in fear at his very sight, like snakes fleeing from Garuda, he laughed loudly. Who could even stand before him, never mind kill him? Hiranyaksha scored through the heavens, seeking an opponent. The whole place was deserted. He snorted. Where were those cowardly gods, so proud of their strength? The demon threw back his head and bellowed in triumph. Like a rampaging elephant, he returned from the heavens and plunged into the deep and turbulent ocean. Maybe there was someone in the nether regions he could combat. As he entered the water, the aquatics fled in all directions. The colossal roared jubilantly. He had established his supremacy without dealing a single blow. Hiranyaksha thrashed about in the ocean, smashing the immense wind-tossed waves repeatedly with his iron mace. Surely there was someone, somewhere, who was able to fight with him. After many years, he reached Vaibhavari, the capital of Varuna, lord of the aquatics, and the lower regions where demons generally dwell. Bursting into Varuna's whole place, court. Hiranyaksha knelt before him in a mock humility. Give me battle, O Supreme Lord. You are the one of the universal guardians, a ruler of wide fame. After crushing the might of conceited warriors and conquering the demoniac races, you once performed the Rajasuya sacrifice. Just tell me when I should stop.
Well, we can pause whenever we have a comment or a question, or just we want to highlight some point. We can just pause. Anything so far? Anything that caught your attention?
Nothing in particular.
Okay, I was thinking Jaya and Vijaya, just before they got cursed, their mood and their consciousness was challenging. They were challenging the Kumaras, right? The mood was very much in the mood of challenge. It's not so much in the mood of peaceful, a gentle way of, hello, my dear boys, why are you here? They didn't do that. It was a little contrast to that. So we can see that the next chapter of their life began like this, right? They were building muscles like steel, and they were growing tall, and they were like showing off, right? That mood of like, that's why we say when we conceive, it's not only conceiving babies, right? When we conceive a project, when we conceive any relationship, the consciousness with which we do, it carries through the whole project, it carries through the whole relationship. And we can see their consciousness is like, give me battle, where is the challenge? Give me that. So, yes, devotional service is excellent, but if we perform devotional service in the mode of passion and ignorance, the result will be tinged with misery or depression, and so on and so forth. Sometimes we say, wow, I've been chanting for so many years, but I still feel A, B, and C. Oh, I have been doing devotional service for so long, but I have so many enemies and I have conflicts with devotees. And people don't respect me. Sometimes we have these kind of difficulties because perhaps my consciousness with which I started off that service was not in the right place. So we will experience the consequences. Whenever we perform service in Rajas and Tamas, we'll experience the result of Rajas and Tamas. But when we try to execute devotional service in the mode of Sattva Guna, it can be difficult, to not get affected by the politics, to just mind your own business, focus on your service without expecting others to behave perfectly, keeping your side of the road clean. Not then at the end, even if I'm thinking of my father, he's like a very humble person. He has like a lot of opposition and people don't respect him much, etc., etc. But it doesn't seem to affect him at all. Because somehow whenever he performs devotional service, he's not there to get validated by the people. He's not there to be admired, or he's not there to enjoy the results. He's really there to do the service, and that's it. He has no other. I just met with him, and my appreciation for him increased. After his retirement, he's serving in the temple as a manager, voluntary service. And I just saw that he just doesn't get affected because his actions is quite passionate. He's like he's like a 7-year-old. He's moving all around. He's 70 actually. He's so active, but he seems very much in the mode of Rajas because he's moving a lot. But actually, I noticed that his intentions are pure. His consciousness is in Sattva, even though his actions are in Rajas. So our actions may seem very much in Sattva, but our intentions could be in Rajas. And only we and Krishna can know that. Other people cannot detect if my consciousness is in Sattva or Rajas. Rajas means basically expecting to be admired and adored and validated, right? And Sattva means we perform devotional service to please the Lord, and that's it. We do not care about being respected and admired and honored like that. So yeah, I'm just thinking of the consciousness with which we conceive any service or any relationship or anything. It is certain to fructify in that way. Yeah. Any other realizations, comments? Then we can continue the reading. Rajastali Mataji, would you like to continue reading?
Okay. Hiranyaksa paced before Varuna like a proud lion, arrogantly flexing his bulging muscles. Varuna's anger flared up. However, knowing that only Vishnu could defeat Hiranyaksha, he tenaciously contained his indignation. Dear sir, I am too old for combat and have therefore desisted from warfare. Hiranyaksa beat the ground with his mace. Who will satisfy my urge for battle? Varuna replied, You are so skilled in war that only the most ancient person, Lord Vishnu, can match you. Therefore, O chief of the demon races, approach him who is praised even by heroes like you. He will soon rid you of your pride. You will lie down on the battlefield for eternal sleep, surrounded by dogs. It is to exterminate wicked fellows like you and to show his praise to the virtuous, and he assumes various incarnations like Varha. Chapter 18, The Battle Between Lord Boar and Hiranyaksha. As Lord Varhava rescues the earth, he is attacked by Hiranyaksa and a fierce fight ensues. Hiranyaksa sneered, Where can I find this Vishnu? Varuna shrugged, I am sure he will find you.
Okay, let's pause there. it's interesting that Krishna's will is taking place, right? Krishna wanted this fight, remember? He was waiting, oh, who can give me a good fight? And so now Hiranyaksha is like, hey, who's going to fight me? And so even though it may appear like we are in control, we want something, ultimately it's actually Krishna's will. Yeah, Krishna's will is happening in every way, especially for a devotee. If we want Krishna's will to prevail, it's going to, whatever is happening, regardless of what happens, if we want Krishna's will to prevail, that's the perfection, regardless of how things appear. Beautiful. This is a beautiful chapter. Okay. By the way, I must say this. In Vedic astrology, Rahu, planet Rahu, which we discussed earlier also in some other sessions, Rahu is that planet which brings us to this material world. Rahu is that planet which drives us nuts and makes us go round and round in the same cycle without actually getting out of this cycle of birth and death. And it's the planet which causes illusion and delusion and fantasies and thinking, falling, when we fall for Maya, that's Rahu, basically. And this chapter, this specific chapter, chapter 18 of the third canto, is the powerful remedy to calm down Rahu, to basically uplift our consciousness, to transform our lessons, and turn the weaknesses into strength. So this is a chapter that I recommended to so many of my clients to study, because it relieves us from the clutches of Rahu. It relieves the pain that arises from delusion of our identity, because we think, I'm this body, I'm the owner, this is me, this is mine. And then we get into so much entangled nonsense. So this chapter, the battle, it indicates how Krishna, in the form of Varahadev, can uplift our consciousness. Regardless of how fallen we are, how much Maya we are rotting in, regardless of how dirty our consciousness can be, because War incarnation appeared to show that. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that. We read that in the previous sections, how there is no place dirty for Varahadev, War, to go and cleanse us of our consciousness. It is our merciful Lord. He doesn't say, oh, you're contaminated by material desires, I will not accept you. But if we take shelter of the Lord, he takes full responsibility to cleanse us of our material desires and all the character defects. Yeah, so let's not just think material desires. Sometimes it's also just character defects. We may not have any material desires. We may have inferiority complex, and we may have people-pleasing tendencies, and we may have certain character defect that's blocking our spiritual life. And Varahadev is capable of lifting us up. I have 4 minutes more, so I'll just read a short section. I can continue if that's okay.
Yes.
Swelling his huge chest, Hiranyaksha rushed out in search of Vishnu. With upraised mace, he thundered, Vishnu, show yourself to me if you dare. As he raced menacingly through Vibhavari, Narad Muni appeared to see him. Strumming his lute, he went before the demon. Oh, you seek Lord Vishnu. Hiranyaksha towered over Narada. If you know his whereabouts, great sage, tell me at once. Narada bowed graciously. Oh, best of the Asuras, I recently saw the Lord dive deep into the Garbhodaka ocean to rescue the earth. I'm sure if you hurry, you will find him there. Let's pause there. As usual, right? Narad Muni and his diplomacy. It's Narad is such a delight to have. he's always lightening things up because he's he knows past, present, and future, because he knows the consciousness of people. There's this verse in Srimad Bhagavatam where Narad says that by understanding the mind of a person, you can be certain of their past, their present, and their future. And that's actually the kind of basis of astrology. By looking at the mind of a person, you can say, this is the past, and this is likely the future. It indications. So that's why mind is so important. That's why Bhagavad Gita basics to control our mind is very important. And chanting the Mahamantra, because that controls our mind and keeps us sane. Because if the mind goes crazy, it's like a naughty monkey jumping here and there and driving us insane. And Narad Muni really knows how to play with that monkey. Okay, let's continue. Any comments or any questions? Okay, whenever you have something, you can just raise your hand. Hiranyaksa sped toward the Garbhodaka ocean, seeing the principal gods and celestial sages gathered in the sky, singing Vishnu's praise. Hiranyaksha surmised he must be nearby. He dived deep into the ocean, peering this way and that in search of Vishnu. Suddenly, he saw a gigantic boar rising from the ocean depths with the earth on the end of his tusks. Shielding his eyes from the dazzling glare emanating from the boar's eyes, Hiranyaksha laughed. So Vishnu is merely an amphibious beast. As the divine boar rose to the surface, Hiranyaksha gave chase. Lowest of the gods released the earth. Varaha smiled, recognizing his eternal servant Vijaya. Although Hiranyaksha was insulting Varaha by the subtleties of Sanskrit phraseology, the Lord interrupted his words to mean, omniscient Lord, do not give up the earth. Ooh, let's pause there. This is the beauty, right? Sanskrit language, it's so high class that depending on the context and perspective, you can mean one side a complete insult, on another side is like complete praise. It's very similar also about Krishna, right? There are certain gopis, when they say, like when they're insulting Krishna, they're actually praising him to the utmost about his qualities. And this is similar. There's another story, think of which is a pastime. It's also very similar. Lord Chaitanya also, Chaitanya Charitamrita also. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is criticized, actually is a glorification like that. That's another instance. Thinking of another pastime also where Indra, something about Indra. And then one more I remember is Bhagavad Gita, that famous verse where Duryodhana, when he's speaking about Bhishma Drona Pramukataha Sarve Chamsha, when he's speaking about all the great warriors who have come here to give up their life for my sake, etc., etc., he's speaking about aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhimabhirakshitam paryaptam idame tvesham balam bhishmabhirakshitam. I'm trying to remember this out of memory. The verse, I hope it was exact. I hope. I'm not sure. I should check that. But the verse says, Duryodhana is saying, aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhimabhirakshitam, which means the strength of the Pandavas is protected by Bhima. And paryaptam, aparyaptam, this is a play of words in that verse. So one side, the meaning, he's trying to insult, right? He's saying, Bhima's strength is limited. Their Pandavas are protected by Bhima's limited strength, he says, right? But actually in Sanskrit, that word actually means enough. Limited can mean enough. So actually what he's meaning to say is Pandavas have enough protection from Bhima. And then on the other side, he's saying Bhishma is and on the other side, Bhishma is protecting our kind of unlimited, or I can't remember the exact words, but I'm trying here. He's saying, but Bhishma is protecting our, which actually is looking like to say, oh, it's a lot, but actually the literal meaning can be, it's not enough, like it's not enough, like that. So like that, very interesting. Also, when Duryodhana says, all these great warriors have come on the battlefield to give up their lives for my sake, that's typical of Saraswati Devi sitting on his tongue and making him predict the future, right? Means all these guys are going to die. He's predicting it even before the war. He's saying already that it's going to. So here is like subtlety, right? There's so many subtle things happening. Krishna is looking at Vijaya and say, hey, here's my devotee. Finally we meet, right? He's enjoying the pastime. And then Vijaya, after all, he's a devotee. How can he actually put down the Lord? So he's actually saying, lowest of the gods, release the earth. And then actual literal meaning of it is omniscient Lord. You see, lowest, omniscient. It kind of becomes like a play of words, right? And then it says, release the earth. It's like, do not give up the earth. So beautiful, right? This is a high class Sanskrit. What do you say, the beauty of Sanskrit. Okay, let's see, it's already time. We'll pause here for today, and tomorrow we'll continue what happens. Hiranyaksha, how Varaha and him start to fight. The battle has just begun. Okay. When we begin our battles against Maya, it's not a one-day thing. It's just the beginning. Sometimes it takes us long time to fight that battle. Okay, if you have any comments or questions, otherwise I will end the live stream. Okay, you're all experts in the topic, so you don't have any. You want to say something, Gokul Leela? I see you.
Oh, just thank you so much. It was very enlivening. Thank you for your association.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Varaha Dev ki jai. Bhu Varaha